Good morning. It's just barely still the morning. It's 10:51 and I went grocery shopping. I went to Money Mart and paid back that loan. I got paid today. I got paid enough that I could actually put away enough money for me, like set for next month's paycheck or next month's rent. And I was able to pay some of my credit card, and things are looking up. I was so stressed when my money was like on hold, but it's okay now. So basically, I just need to pack and go. I'm not looking forward to it because the walk is fine by itself, but when you're walking and you have like a bunch of stuff in your backpack, it makes it like so hard, so difficult. And I only got around like seven, no, like less than maybe like 6 or 5 hours of sleep last night. So that's gonna be interesting because I work 3:15 to 9:15. Oh boy. So, like I mentioned yesterday, being able to actually put your finger on a certain feeling by naming it has helped greatly, because I realized that that's also what I was feeling for um my little brown friend, and like even when I was working with him, because I was like, why? That's because that's why I was feeling that, like, oh, he's too interesting, like, girl, no. And you know what's so funny? Last night I literally came to terms with the fact that he's not that interesting, and I can't remember if it was before or after I looked up what the word means. It was probably after. Cause like, yeah. Anyway, not that he's not interesting to somebody, but that whole thing was playing into my failing marriage and my deteriorating mental state. Yeah, crazy, 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 but good to come to terms with things. Yesterday, I came to terms with a lot of things, and it was devastating but helpful. You guys know that I've talked about like the things that I went through like growing up, and just because I talk about them doesn't mean that I had accepted them, and now I have. My apologies. Hence, being totally, it might seem aloof to a lot of people, but I'm very, very, very content with all the bridges that have burned in my life. Like, whether due to somebody doing something to me or me doing something to them. Because when it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Last night I had a dream that I was drinking Laker ice. Now, if you're Canadian, you know what that is. Probably. I don't know. If you're a Canadian and you're familiar with beers. Um, and when I, during that video series, there was like 3 parts. There was only supposed to be 2, but I think I hit stop at some point instead of pause. It's called Debunking Male Friendships. That's what that guy drank. He drank Laker ice. When I watched that video back, I realized that when I said what he was drinking, it sounded like I said liquor, maybe. So I just need to work on my enunciation. But other than that, yeah, it's been a really, really good morning. It's been really productive. And I'm very grateful. And the bridges that I've burnt aren't just like my mom, my ex-husband, It's been full on, like, like I can't remember if I told you what I said to Majid. It was to just block me. Like, if you're not gonna come pick me up for work so that we can hang out, just block me. Because I literally, I was so like, I don't know, like, what, how do you, um, verbalize limerence? I was so liberating. I don't know. That was like so close. I was like, I could have sex with this guy. I really, really could. But like, that's not gonna do anything, in the long run. Even if I get off, which I don't think that I actually would have, because the last, you know what? No, this is stuff that I need to be journaling. Because, you never know, but like, if somebody is touching you and then they start touching you somewhere else and you're like, you don't feel that? You don't feel like that's not. Anyway, like, it doesn't matter. Whatever, whatever. We're moving on. I really, really, like, should I put like a warning on this channel that my dad shouldn't want? Like, my dad, I don't want my dad to know any of these things because, like, it's just so, like, bad, And I always try to be, like, good. But these are things that I need to be journaling. These are things that I need to be journaling. Yeah. Okay. One moment. There's, like, a whole nail sticking out of the wall. Bro, that was weird. Did it come from here? That was so weird. Why was there a random nail? Okay, anyway, so so basically that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna journal, and then I'm gonna pack my stuff, and then I'm gonna go because I have to leave by 12 so that the latest I'm there is by 1:30, like back at my new place. And I'm gonna bring a lighter because I bought a candle, and I find that obviously, well, no, it's not obvious. I'm not gonna pretend like that everything is obvious. A lot of our memories are tied in with scent. And there's two certain fragrances that I remember from when I lived in Alberta that are these two candles that I would get at Walmart. And I remember that was a time when I had saved up so much money working at my job. My first job was Tim Hortons. Like no, not any, but like a lot of Canadian kids. I'm not Canadian, but like throughout my adolescence, I've been in Canada. I like saved up so much money. I was gonna make a trip back home. I should have just made the trip back home by myself with my money because that whole thing was like a mess. I will get into that in the future. It's like a long thing to break down, and I understand that like I totally understand why like storytime YouTubers kind of like blew up back in the day, because it's like a lot of us do have strange occurrences that happen in our lives, or just like a series of unfortunate events, like those kinds of things, and then we just kind of like have to tell the story because it's like, can you believe this happened? You know what I mean? But like, it's good that YouTubers who do start off as storytellers and I'm sorry, or who just like occasionally tell their stories do, because in the comments, if you look, a lot of people will be like, oh my goodness, this just reminded me of something that happened to me when I was younger, or like, something that you like repress, like, because repression doesn't, it's not like just like in the movies, like where it's like your mind is completely blank and like all this other stuff. It's like literally you're just functioning day in, day out, like on autopilot, and then one day you're like, oh my goodness, I forgot that this happened. So we'll talk about Alberta. It'll be a multiple part series. This is something that I'm not doing anytime soon because like the year is almost over. This version of myself is dying. It's literally dying. by the springtime, which is the true new year, I'm going to be in a much better place. I know that I say that and like my tone isn't conveying it, but it's something that I'm holding steadfast to, because like I have to endure and I have to trust in the Most High, because he's brought me this far and he's not gonna like just ditch me. And all I have to do is just like remain, you know. It's like life is a crazy thing. Well, life is good. Death is bad. But life on this planet, on this plane, sorry, is a little bit rambunctious at times. So I guess I am going to journal a little bit, not in terms of like getting deep feelings out or anything like that, like doing spiritual inventory, but I have to write down my schedule for the next week and a couple of plans, because I'm seeing my ex-husband again on Sunday, and so that's gonna be like taxing, because he says that he enjoys my company, but I don't enjoy his. And I don't know if it's like a politeness thing or like I'm just trying to, because like I'm not overly polite with him. Sometimes I just get so agitated how like it's gone on for too long, and I just like tell him about himself, and then he doesn't like that, obviously. But I don't bother to even be like, oh, okay, whatever, when he's like, oh, I still enjoy your company, like, you know. And I'm like, after I get settled into my new life, I don't want to be friends with you. I don't want to hear from you ever again. I did tell him that, at least. So at least that's good. Yeah, whatever, it'll be fine. I made y'all saw that I got those snacks from the Circle K instead of going to A&W. So I made some ground beef in the air fryer, and I got jalapenos, I got an onion, I got some taco seasoning. I made like this whole thing, bro. It was so good. I poured the salsa in there, I poured the cheese in there, I ate it with the chips. Child, having a good old funky time. With the sodium levels, child, I gotta slow down on that, because like when you eat takeout, so much sodium. Noodles, so much sodium. Soy sauce, because like I am kind of a soy sauce fiend, because it has, I don't know, like it has a different flavor than just using plain salt, obviously, because it's soy sauce. So much sodium. So I'm gonna need to chill out on the sodium and really slow down, because I find that a lot of the time, a lot of my time is used to just keep going and to keep surviving in many different ways. And I'm going to like have to learn how to rest if I'm going to endure, because what is the saying? This is a marathon, not a sprint. Maybe something like that. I don't know. I'm not a professional runner. I just like running. So, but I do remember when I became a really, really good runner, it would be like, I would be like going at a pace that is actually a little bit uncomfortable to keep up. And not because like it hurts, but because you like listen to your own breathing and it sounds labored, but you keep pushing and you keep pushing and you keep pushing. And I remember the first time I succeeded in that kind of run, I was surprised at when I got back home and I had ran the whole time. I fully expected myself to like stop in the middle of like my run, like at least like, you know, like 2 or 3 times. And I didn't. And I remember after I moved out on my own, which, oh my goodness, is such a story in and of itself. Have you guys heard about hobosexuals? Yeah. So I moved out by myself when I was like 18, and then I turned 19 soon thereafter. And I only lived by myself for like 9 months. I worked at a strip club, I was a shooter girl. I didn't make enough money to pay my own rent. I moved out because my mom threatened to kick me out. She literally pulled out all my clothes from my closet and put them on like a it was a hamper, like a clothing hamper that was like in our hallway in our apartment, because I had been hanging out with Trevor too much when I was younger. Despite the fact that she was infatuated with him and was like, "Oh, he's such a beautiful young man, blah blah blah, all this shit," like, you know. And so I was just like, okay, like, not that I was like, okay, I'll date him. I had already been dating him because he seemed to be like my only option in my head. And even when we were younger, she would like compliment him as if she knew him. She didn't know nothing about him. He was just a boy, and she's always wanted boys. So basically, after that happened, I like made up my mind. I was like, okay, I'm gonna move out. I didn't tell her that. I just like started making plans. I started working so many more hours. I would take people's shifts, and I managed to save up enough money to get an apartment. And this lady turns on and she's like, "No, you shouldn't move out. You're gonna ruin your relationship, your beautiful relationship with Trevor." I'm like, okay, first of all, not then, but now I'm like, how do you know that it was beautiful? And second of all, you're the one that made the dramatic gesture of like pulling out all my clothes from my closet. Like, don't, this is not a freaking reality show. Like, act for real. Like, be for real. Ew. Like, it's just so, like, a lot of, um, I guess, shame from being abused from my mom, aside from the physical abuse, is just like how embarrassing, like, the situations that I had to like be in. I'm just like, I have to hang all these clothes up. I have to listen to you backtrack. I have to like, this is like so stupid. Like, why don't you just, but she couldn't regulate her own emotions, and that's fine. That's something that I've grown to accept it.